In big and populous cities like Paris, it's not easy to recognize who are natives and who are foreigners. But with the French, at least, there are some clues. On any city street in France, it's likely that 1 person in 10 who walks past will be a Muslim. At least a third of the 15 million Muslims in Europe are resident here. No one can be absolutely certain of the numbers because the secular traditions of France mean that it is not acceptable for the state to quantify people by their religion. Yet whatever the precise figures, this strong Muslim presence provokes some questions. What impact does Europe's largest Muslim population, somewhere between 5 and 6 million people, have on French society and French politics? And what effect does living in France have on Muslims? And for me, the most intriguing question of all, is a new Euro-Islam being created here in the cradle of the Enlightenment and secular values? I start to explore these questions at La Grande Mosquée de Paris, a little piece of North Africa in the capital. When this impressive and beautiful mosque was built in the 1920s, vast tracts of Africa were the territory of the French Empire. Most Muslims who live in France today have their origins in Morocco and Algeria. In recent decades, they have established themselves as French citizens in metropolitan France. This evening, a man's about to arrive to pay court to this increasingly significant community. Why? Because he's ambitious to be the next president of France. The distinguished guest we are all waiting for is the Interior Minister, Nicolas Sarkozy, who is coming to join in the celebrations of Ramadan, the season in the Islamic calendar when a daily fast is broken by a festive meal. The attentions of the security men and media emphasize that this is going to be more than a convivial dinner party. I've just heard that the reason there's so much media interest in this evening's visit is because it's the first time that a minister of the French government has come to take part in one of the great Muslim festivals. Politely late, the guest arrives. Nicolas Sarkozy is small of stature, but a big figure in French politics. As well as being Interior Minister, he is Deputy Prime Minister, the President of France's ruling party, and a serious contender to become the next President of the Republic. Monsieur Sarkozy is notorious for the directness of his speech and his tough stand on immigration. He has even been accused of being a racist. But in his time at the Interior Ministry, he has been working to build strong bridges between the French government and the Muslim community. He tells his hosts how proud he is to share this privileged moment breaking the fast at the beginning of the Ramadan festival.
C'est le symbole des relations paisibles qui existent entre la République et les musulmans de notre pays.
This is a symbol of the peaceful relationship that exists between the Republic and the Muslims of our country. I see the virtue of a true dialogue between the public authorities and the Muslims of France.
Aux vertus d'un vrai dialogue entre les pouvoirs publics et les musulmans de France.
I'd like to give you the power to speak. I really believe that it's essential today for French society to listen to the Islam of France.
D'écouter, d'entendre un islam de France.
In 2002, Monsieur Sarkozy orchestrated the building of the CFCM, the French Council of the Muslim Faith, to formalize the relationship between Islamic leaders and the government of President Chirac. But some Muslims resent a senior figure in government involving himself so directly in their affairs. And they regard with suspicion his ambition to create not an Islam in France, but an Islam of France.
On dit en France ici, c'est le petit Bush. Même mauvais Bush sur le plan de la liberté religieuse aux États-Unis est franchement mieux que Chirac.
In France,
We call him the little George Bush. Even if Bush is bad, on the question of religious freedom, the United States is much better than Chirac's France. The problem with France is that the politicians want to control Islam. And when Monsieur Sarkozy says he wants an Islam of France, what he really wants is an Islam à la Française, one that matches the interests of the French regime, and not an Islam which reflects Muslims' wishes. The Islam Monsieur Sarkozy desires is an Islam that has lost its essence.
For such critics, the Muslim leaders who are celebrating Ramadan at the Grand Mosque of Paris have come too close for their own good to the machinery of state. To seek out other versions of Islam in France, I venture some 300 miles southeast of the capital. In the city of Lyon, they also have a Grand Mosque. But the Ramadan celebrations held in the basement there are very different from the high-powered event in Paris. This is a season when Muslims are expected to share whatever they have with others. So the needy and homeless are invited each evening to eat their fill. The Ramadan supper in the Grand Mosque of Lyon is also an opportunity for mosque officials to bond with representatives of law and order in the city. But by the light of day, you can see that the Grand Mosque of Lyon does present the imposing face of French Islam, an Islam that the government can do business with. Yet the millions of euros that paid for this impressive establishment came from overseas.
The French government helped coordinate its funding by King Fahd of Saudi Arabia, with contributions coming from Algeria, the United Arab Emirates, from Turkey and Tunisia. This diplomatic enterprise provokes a question. Just how French is this Islam?
La mosquée de Lyon, certes, a été financée par le roi Fahd sur ses fonds propres.
I don't have any problem accepting foreign money. The Mosque of Lyon was certainly funded by King Fahd, but with his own money, not with the money of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. After the mosque was built, nobody from Saudi Arabia came and told me what to do. The Grand Mosque of Lyon belongs to all Muslims. It doesn't belong to one nationality.
À aucun pays, à aucune nationalité, elle est ouverte à l'ensemble des musulmans.
But the Islam we are practicing in France has to conform to the norms of the Republic. It's important that Muslims understand this. We are a minority, a religious minority in a country with a Catholic majority. The Muslim community should learn to live its faith in keeping with the Islamic rules, but also with the proper rules of this country.
This formal setting for the Friday prayer, conducted mostly in Arabic but partly in French, could not be more different from the mood I encounter next day at a small local mosque in Dessines, an outer suburb of Lyon. The children have come to learn Arabic and Quranic studies at a Saturday school. But before they are ready for lessons, they have to work off some of their excess energy. Most French Muslims live in places like this, the suburbs of big cities, and their mosques are often converted from office or factory buildings. No foreign funding here, nor much foreign influence. So how do the Muslims of the suburbs react to the concept of an Islam of France?
S'il s'agit de ça, de dire que les musulmans sont une partie intégrante de la société française, de la communauté française dans le...
If it means that the Muslims are fully integrated into French society and that Muslims have as much freedom as the others within the Republican framework, then yes, I totally agree with it. But the fact is, the Muslim community feels under suspicion. The rule says you are innocent until proven guilty. But in France, with the Muslims, the rule is that they are guilty until they prove their innocence. We Muslims feel that we are discriminated against, even stigmatized.
Il y a une discrimination et une stigmatisation, comment dirais-je, réellement, qui nous fait réellement mal.
Dessines certainly doesn't look like one of those grim banlieues, the desolate outer suburbs that surround so many French cities. But the frustration that Monsieur Minter refers to is certainly in the air. And an issue has just arisen that focuses much of this discontent.
gas pipe and a former office block, an unlikely focus for the arguments about what exactly a French Islam is to be. But here there's a controversy that raises the big questions of identity, democratic freedom, and the next generation.
In a recently converted office building, I meet the vice president of the new AlKindi School in Tessine, the first school in France with the ambition to serve Muslim children across the ages, supported by state funding. This should be the first week of lessons, with the initial 200 students in place. But the classrooms are still empty. The opening of the school has been blocked by the authorities, or, to be precise, by the authority of one man, the Director of Education for Lyon, who is concerned by the discovery that the original office was built on polluted ground. Alongside is a gas substation with an escape valve.
It's both literally and figuratively explosive. The mere idea of having that gas pipe pretty close to the building of the school is something which naturally can imply very specific security risk in terms of explosion, bomb attacks, and all the rest, I'm afraid.